This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally. Yes.
It's an absolute riot.
Woo!
And the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time. What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado. Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
It's Wednesday, Adams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
Cavalry Audio.
Three, 2, 1. We can't go on
Together with suspicion.
Suspicious. Oh, hello, audience. I didn't see you there. Just warming up the pipes.
Yeah.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Brando.
Hello, Murder Chronicles Nation. Welcome back to our bonus content. I'm Brandon. I'm here with Carolyn as always. How are you doing, Carolyn? Do you have a good week?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Had a great week. How about you?
Yeah, good. Good week. Kids are back in school. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Can I get a witness?
I'm very happy about that.
I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think about New Year's resolutions? What's your thought process on them?
Dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, why you put so much pressure on yourself, okay? Building up to this one time of the year where you have to make these changes. New year, new me. Man, go fuck yourself. Just do it when you think you should do it. And don't put the pressure on yourself. Set yourself up to succeed, okay? Instead of you build up, new year, great, and we're human, right? So you have a fuck up, and then you hate yourself, and then you stop, and you probably regress to a point worse than you were beforehand, Yeah. So just
or you go to celebrate. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go celebrate. I lost 10 pounds. We're gonna just go celebrate one time.
Right. Just realize that it's discipline, and that it's habits, and that it's a lifestyle change, and that there isn't some magical date where all of a sudden you'll be, you'll have that discipline, and you'll have the drive, and you'll have your reason to maintain stuff. Listen, I've been around long enough. You gotta set yourself up to succeed, and not put you. The only time I did something rash and it worked was when I quit smoking. And that was, that was I had to surprise myself.
Finny?
I'm sorry?
You were just finished?
Yeah, I was finished. It was, and I'd read a Harry Truman.
Hey, I'm sorry, my cat was scratching on the.
Okay. I read a Harry Truman biography where, an Eisenhower biography where he gave himself an order to quit smoking. And that's what did it for him. Mm-hmm. He realized, and he tried a lot of different ways, and he realized that, his entire life, he hung his life on the disciplinary structure of the military. And he figured that he would respond to that as well. And so he gave himself an order to quit smoking, and it worked, and he never smoked again. So, no, that's interesting. Fuck it, I'm just going to stop. And it worked.
Yeah. I'm very much like that too, just with things that I decide. If I really decide it, like with smoking, I smoke too. Yeah. And I was just like, done. And my husband's actually like, he knows that I'm that way, where it's like, if I decide something,
Yeah.
and, it may take me forever to get to that place, but then once it's like decided, it's kind of, yeah. But
Yeah,
I'm the same way too. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and the hosts were talking about New Year's resolutions. And so I was like, I just kind of thought, I figured you would be like, fuck it. No way.
well, I'm not that transparent, huh? But unfortunately, I haven't been able to.
Wait a second. Didn't you just say that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I know, you're right. Fine. Great. But my thing is that I haven't, again, I can't consistently muster that type of discipline that I found in myself with the smoking. Like, there's other little things that I do. Like, I drink too many soft drinks, or I stay up too late, or I sleep too late. There's things that I want to change. And I will. I just had a physical. So we'll see what the results are from that. And maybe if, something's fucked up, I'll make some changes. But
nothing like getting fucked up results to make you have a resolve, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. So anyway, did you have any resolutions this year or no?
I don't. In fact, I'm the type of person where I'm going to start my resolution before everybody else, where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to start it like a month ahead of time, which is always, eating healthy. It's so hard. It's so hard to,
tell me about
it, to do that. And it's always the same thing, but it's really like, it's not just a New Year's resolution. It's just a lifestyle where you have to commit to it, and you have to, and that's so hard because we're busy, and it's like,
comfortable.
And I'm an emotional eater. I mean, I'll be the first one to, I have. It's like, it's sick because it's so cyclical in families. Like, I used to watch my mom eating over the peanut butter jar, and it's like, then all of a sudden, my kid walks out and I've got the peanut butter spoon in my hand. And it's just like, it's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm a bored eater. Like, I eat when I have nothing to do, like when I'm working, like I'll be editing something, and I'll just like eat a sandwich at 2 a.m, like for like I'm not even hungry. I know it's shit like that. I'm just bored. I need something to do.
Like, again, it's like the comfort thing.
Yeah. It totally is. It totally is.
Yeah.
But since, like over the past 5 years, I've had like major accidents that led to major surgeries. Okay. And prior to that, I've been able to basically eat whatever I've wanted because I was such a gym rat. Like that was like my drug, right? It was just getting to the gym and, and getting that endorphin rush and marking my progress in the weight room or on the treadmill or whatever. And injuries have sidelined me for the most part for, like I said, most of like the last 5 years. And that's what's been the hardest for me. That's been hard because
and I think that the mindset of like, because I'm an absolute rabid jogger. Like, I may not be the fastest, but I'm out there, rain, whatever. And so I think that when you think, I'm doing that, then you can slide on the other things. But then it's like, wait a second, I'm working so hard, and then I'm eating this ding dong. What am I doing?
Yeah, but that's exactly the mindset for me. Just because I loved eating ding dongs and shit. I'm like, I will go bust my ass in the gym because I love it and I love how I feel. And then I get to go eat like a package of Red Vines and drink a Mountain Dew because I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Wait a second. Red Vines and Mountain Dew?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever.
Put it in front of me. What
Anything
the hell?
Basically, listen, for years, all through my 20s and 30s, my diet consisted of shit you'd get at a movie theater. Basically, just think of that food, right? Like terrible pizza and awful hot dogs and popcorn and Sour Patch Kids.
I've been to the movies. I know.
Red Vines. Yeah, that is it. That was my.
Really? Were there Snickers and Reese's peanut butter cups?
Not a lot of chocolate products there at the movie theaters, believe it or not. But but you got to be an example for the kids. So I eat better now, but I really miss going to the gym. I'm slowly working my way back in and getting my strength back and hitting the weights again. So it's I'm feeling better. But
well, good. Well, what did you think of Detective Marty Garland?
I love this guy.
I love him too.
And I really appreciated his. But again, I haven't heard a police officer yet take like the negative opinion of their work that I have sometimes. But I liked his self-reflection towards the end when he was talking about the bond that develops between these people, right? I found that interesting that he brought it up and that he kind of mocked them a little bit. Like he goes, that people they want is at their trial. I'm like, what? But I'll be sitting at the other table, like a little smug. And I went, okay, it's the name of the game. And I'm so grateful that the guys have that mechanism in their brain and in their hearts to be able to do it, to like pretend that they're an ally of this person to get the truth, but want to see him fucking fry.
Well, see, and that's the thing that last week when we talked about it, when we talked about Richard Cottingham and your assessment of Peter Vronsky,
the
Times Square Torso Killer, how you kind of felt like, yeah, he's really kind of wanting to play God. And I was like, I didn't read it like that. But then I do think there's something that you have to do in order to be that duplicitous. And it's kind of harsh,
right?
know?
And that's where I'll disagree, because I would never accuse him of duplicity, because I think that their focus is always laser beamed on justice. Okay. Yeah. And the ends justify the means. So whatever it takes to get there. I mean, I don't duplicitous. It's too much of a pejorative, I think, because the work that they're doing is so necessary, and I'm sure that they're trained in that. And yeah, I guess, oh, I don't blame you. You know, yeah, it is a level of duplicity, but I would think that it's the end that they're serving is worth it. But again, I can see the other side of it where I'm like, man, that's like can he lie like that in his regular life? You know what I mean? Like, can these cops or these people that are so highly trained in investigative procedures and in getting people to trust you and to do whatever, like there's that movie, The Negotiator, from years ago with Kevin Spacey and I think Sam Jackson. In the opening scene, Spacey plays this great negotiator, and you don't know the situation that he's in. He's on one side of a door and he's in high level, really tense negotiations to get someone to come out. And it was like his teenage daughter, right? It was like using the bathroom. So it was a really interesting kind of juxtaposition as to where his character was going to be later on. And it showed you that he was able to bring those skills into his personal life as well. So that always made me wonder about what cops and investigators and negotiators could do with their training if they choose to use their powers for evil, you know?
Right. I know. Well, that's why, you know, they say a lot of like, and this is just like, I don't have a PhD. I'm not a psychiatrist, but like they've said, so, like sociopaths, many of them can be doctors and CEOs, you know, like they have that ability to be able to, you know, cut into someone or make those decisions. And I think that, yeah, you know, you do have to, it's part of the being a good detective is being able to be able to interview and build that trust. And it's like the reverse. And, you know, if you're on the wrong side of, you know, someone who's not a good police officer, that's not good for you. Absolutely. You know, I mean, and that's how these false confessions and stuff happen. And it's very interesting, but I love Detective Marty Garland, and I love his honesty and his kind of like, you know, tell it like it is. And he's not guarded. And, you know, I really appreciated that about him.
Me too. And just his dogged kind of determination and in his pursuit of justice. Those are the kind of cops and detectives that you want. And he was a cop for 10 years before he became a detective. You know, so he put his time in. He wasn't like one of these prodigies out of the academy that got tapped right away. You know,
well, he's in Bremerton, yeah.
He's
like going to West Point.
Right. That's true. So let's talk about the case. This first victim, what was her name? I'm sorry.
The first victim was Marilyn Hickey.
Marilyn Hickey. I'll tell you, I was hearing, you know, how you described her, and I went, man, I would have liked to have met her. Right?
Yeah.
Hanging around the dive bar, shooting pool, throwing darts, playing the jukebox, listening to Elvis. Man, we would have got along.
You know, I think that it's like in the same way that like when you go to a really fancy restaurant and you do that whole ritual of making the, you know, reservation and getting dressed up and you're eating foods that you normally wouldn't eat and you're just like, you know, enjoying yourself. I think the dive bar is kind of the reverse, but equally as special in that you just get to go and be. And it doesn't matter, who you are, what you're doing. Like, for example, my husband, our dive bar is like Doofers, although they probably wouldn't think it's a dive bar. But and my husband, when he goes in there, everybody knows his name. They know his drink. They know what he does. For me, I like to just kind of go undercover, and I like the nod. It's kind of like the nod. So it's like you have all these different personality types, and I think that when you go there, it doesn't matter who you are. You just you just get away from it all. So that really struck me with this case.
Yeah, and the other thing about dive bars is oftentimes, even though everybody knows your name, there's also a certain level of anonymity. If you're someone off the street, you can just walk in and no one's going to say, you're not welcome here, or you're not a regular, whatever. You belly up to the bar and you do what you want, and nothing is taboo, and people will leave you alone, as long as you're tipping, you could do whatever you want, and you could meet somebody anonymously. And I lived in Hollywood for a long time, and right, like in the heart of Hollywood, there were these bars, and where like Bukowski used to hang out, and there were these great, dirty, seedy, like stinky, like nothing cool about them at all, except the pedigree of the place, and your eyes have to adjust for a minute when you get in there, because it's so dark. It could be noon outside. It could be 2 a.m. God, I used to love those places. I lived right around the corner from, like, back when I was still drinking, there was this bar on the Sunset Strip called the Coach and Horses, and it was a shithole. It was awful, but it was so much fun. And you could walk in there and you could be sitting next to a homeless guy who's paying with pennies on one side of you, and like Kiefer Sutherland on the other side of you. And you don't know who's drunker, and they're probably they're gonna fight, like that kind of shit. It was such a great bar. And then later on, as a husband and a father, we had a house like 100 yards north of the bar on a side street, and it got bought out by some hipster, and it became like some nice place, and it kind of lost its vibe. But it was interesting because I was like two different people, back when I used to drink at that place, and then when I would like walk with my daughters to school past that place, and it was totally different. The passage of time was interesting. But so she's in this dive bar, okay, where she's a regular.
Yeah. And
she goes home with a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
To me, I was surprised that more people weren't interested in what, and I'm like, is this my reverse sexism that, a 57-year-old woman can't
22-year-old.
A 22-year-old? Like, how many times do we see these guys doing it? So I was kind of like slapping myself a little bit. But yeah, she goes home with him, and we don't know why, and we don't, they were having
we know why. We know why.
Do you think so? Now that you know the whole thing?
Well, listen, I know her point of view. I'm not sure if murder was on his mind. I don't know.
What do you think her point of view is?
I want to get laid. Right? I mean, why not?
I don't know. I'm so far removed from that. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm not even going to bring me into the equation at all.
Okay.
I mean,
listen, she's single. She's a grown up. They were playing pool and listening to Elvis. Elvis is a sexy motherfucker. Probably got the juices going.
He is.
Right. I know. Right.
I know, but maybe you haven't seen this guy's mugshot. He was like sporting a mullet. Like,
all right. Well, then listen, sometimes there's people you go after, and sometimes there's people you end up with at the end of the night, right?
Yes, I'm thinking Closing Time.
Sure.
One more call. What group is that?
I forget the group, but there's an interesting story behind that song that I'll tell you about later. But it doesn't mean what you think it means. It's really cool. It's a really cool song when you know what it's about.
I know Who I Want to Take Me Home. It's not about that.
No.
Huh.
No. It's all right. Real quick, I'll digress. It's written. I heard this interview with the songwriter, because the song just had like its 20-year anniversary or something like that, and someone asked him what it was about, and he said, "Listen to the lyrics again, and it is about me imagining my future child about to be born." Okay, and it's from the point of view of a baby in the womb.
I got it. What do you think when you hear the lyrics, real intended purpose of the songwriter, as opposed to what you think they mean?
I think they're wrong, and that my version of it is correct.
I don't like hearing it because, especially if I really like the song.
Yeah.
I just, that song, the Kenny Loggins song, I'm like, I know people won't even know who this is, but it's like that, I'm all right.
Yeah.
That's like the answer. Yeah. And so I somehow came across like an interview with him, and he was explaining the thing about the song was about his father who was dying and who didn't want treatment or something like that. And here I'm like, this is like the Survivor song, like, yeah. And it was just like
dark.
Really dark.
Like that?
So now I don't even
make it a ballad, you dipshit. Don't make it a dance number.
Or don't tell anybody what the song. Don't tell the motivation for the song. Way to ruin it for everybody else.
Christ, holy shit. Yeah, that's my favorite version of that is the Chili Peppers song. Under the bridge downtown.
Freaking Under the Bridge. That was like my freaking anthem.
Okay, it's a great song.
If you know anything about it,
it's obvious what it's about.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
For people that are of our generation and knew it, that he was a drug addict and that's where he would shoot up, right? But it's such a cool, lovely ballad in the beginning. Sometimes I feel, right? And that it hit.
Ballad to himself.
But it hit, right? And it was a big hit. And so it was getting like mainstream radio play. So there were a lot of soccer moms singing the song and had no idea what it was about. And then their kids say, Mom, it's about a guy shooting heroin under some dirty bridge in fucking Los Angeles. What are you singing this for? She goes, no, it's not. It's about Los Angeles. It's a great city. No.
One more time. What was she like?
It's a lovely ballad. It's not about anything bad. You're wrong, honey.
Such a new side of you I didn't know existed. Oh my gosh.
I'm imagining how you talk to your kids. Yeah.
Oh, me? Anyway, I love that song. That was like the
beautiful.
Like, yeah.
It's great, and it's a love letter to Los Angeles. And living here for as long as I have, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
We'll be back after a quick break.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Summer's almost out and fall's calling. Luckily, Nordstrom has everything you need for the season ahead, all under $100. Discover new arrivals from your favorite brands like Mango, Princess Polly, Wave, Free People, BDG, and more. Whether you're planning a last-minute getaway, heading back to class, or refreshing your office looks, you'll find the latest trends and beauty must-haves without breaking your budget. It's easy, too, with free shipping, free returns, and in-store order pickup. Shop today, in stores, and at Nordstrom.com.
Well, I think that, Marilyn leaves the bar.
With this guy.
Yeah.
Turns up dead.
Uh-huh.
And, from what I said before, I'm not sure if murder was on this guy's mind. What he did to her, there's a pathology there. And I like, towards the end of the podcast, there was a really cool, summation that was made. I don't know if it was you or if it was the detective, that there were some pretty violent rapes in the months leading up to this murder, and that he decided he's not going to leave witnesses anymore after that. Could realize I can't leave these women alive, and that he upped his game. Yeah. So I think he did go there with nefarious purposes, and And unfortunately, she was probably like, hey, I got this young dude who's willing to come home with me. Great. Let's give him a twirl and see what's what, and then unfortunately, people are fucking animals sometimes. And so she's horribly murdered. There's zero leads.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's the sketch,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And then I got to tell you something else. Something that I didn't understand was that how little was made of the name and phone number of a man in her bag. Like my wife has zero names and phone numbers of any men in her bag. Like I have zero names and phone numbers. Like I would think that would be a huge piece of evidence, but the detective was like, well, it happens, and maybe it was overlooked.
You know what? I read that differently. I read him as like doing a solid for the people who came before, and not like,
okay.
Like.
So there's a chance it was overlooked because somebody fucked up and he was covering. Okay.
That, he was basically like, who knows what's in a woman's purse, like, well, she's just been murdered, so we should really look and see,
that's
like, we should really like, take the crumbs off of that and just like spread it out and really think about it. And especially when the tip, when he followed it up with like, oh, and so he's going over the case review and he's seeing, wait a second, there's this guy from McDonald's who's saying,
yeah. So the second victim. So then, and how much time separated the two victims? Because there was a couple
like
states.
2 years.
Yeah,
like
and 2 states away.
It was Idaho.
Okay.
Idaho.
Similar modus operandi.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was stabbed in the heart with a knife.
Yeah. The first one was scissors. Second one was a knife.
Yeah. Yep.
Was there any unfortunate penetration with inanimate objects like there was with the first one?
I don't believe so, because the semen sample was found on the blanket, that was really, news to me. It was like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Like he could have said, it's kind of like cigarette butts where you don't, you could have cigarette butts that have your DNA at somebody's house that was murdered, and they could have been there from 10 years ago. The same
if
thing
you don't clean your fucking house, right? If you don't clean, like I don't fully buy the semen on a blanket. You wash your sheets, don't you?
Well, you know what? I think that somebody could say, hey, we don't know. It's a blanket. We don't know. I mean, if someone's being charged with murder, I think that you really need to prove. And that's why I was like,
agreed that yes, that the argument could be made that it was a years old semen sample on a blanket. But that would be I guess that would be a I don't know.
And that's why the power, I didn't, I went back and forth with including that part with the brush, because it's so terrible. It's so awful. But to understand how the case was actually solved, you really kind of needed to know that detail, because that's why it was close. There's no way that could be explained away.
And now, and listen, maybe I'll end up cutting this out, up to you, but it was vague after you warned us. And then later in the end, became a little more clear that it was, in the butt. Right? Yeah.
I mean, that's so freaking brutal. Beyond like, and he said it, because when I interviewed him, I met him to pick up the interrogation video.
Yeah.
But we conducted the interview via Zoom, and he saw my face. And it was like when I found out that detail, because I didn't know. Yeah. And I was just like, and he like lined it up like, okay, we talked about the rape. We talked about stabbing in the heart. We talked about, her throat was slit. We talked about all these other things. And then the second I talked about the hairbrush being in where it was inserted, you just totally like a nuke had been dropped. And it's so true. It's so brutal. All of those other things are so true. But then this last thing, like, why would someone want to do that to somebody? And I'm just hoping that she wasn't alive, when it was done.
Yeah. Oof. All right. So then, classic cold case.
Yeah.
Right. They have DNA. They have matching DNA.
Right.
They don't have the
And
guy.
they're both doing kind of the same thing where it's like, okay, technology has caught up. Each Idaho, unbeknownst to Washington, has their cold cases, and they're like, hey, let's DNA, let's do this, let's get it into CODIS, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, we have a match, but we don't have a name. So that's where the dance started between the two detectives, and it was just it's
and then everything started kind of all of these disparate kind of elements that were kind of in a loose orbit started kind of coagulating, right, with the name from the purse, with the sketch, but like 20 years had gone by, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then McDonald's connection and all of these things started kind of falling into place. And that culminated with like a lot of patients. Like the great thing that I've been reading recently in the zeitgeist is all of these awful Idaho college murders, right? And how the police, the Idaho, the local police department was in a shitstorm. People were saying, you're terrible, you're incompetent, you're all this. But they weren't. They just didn't give a shit about public opinion because they were doing their jobs right. Absolutely. And they were not going to fuck up the investigation by trying to say, no, this is what we're doing. We're doing no. So great for them. Fuck everybody else who was saying that. But then they kept their distance and tracked this kid all the way to Pennsylvania, right? They got DNA from the trash. It was his dad, and then this, and they knew. Look
at you, Mr. True Crime fan.
Yeah, well, no, I just found that was interesting because what I liked was the detective here that they took their time and they got that cigarette butt, and he used it as a picture, like his fucking screensaver. And you were fangirling, you fangirled so hard when you heard that. You're like, oh. Right?
Hey, you know what?
Oh my God. So no, that was good. So I have to ask.
We all have our process.
Did he send you the picture?
I got the picture.
Did he
got the picture.
Did he sign it for you?
Oh my gosh.
To Carolyn, best wishes. You got it up on your wall.
I feel like you might be a little jealous here, Brandon.
No, I think it was just really funny because I got to be honest. Most of the times when I make fun of you, it's because I do the same shit. Right? So I was really stoked when I heard that he had that picture. I went, man, that'd be a fucking cool picture to have.
What? The reason why I was fangirling was because I love it when someone cares so much about what they do. Yeah. And they're a detective and he's not holding his cards close to his vest. He's saying, and I got a picture of it. Yeah. And he's really proud of it because it's the culmination of all the work that he's put in and done. And it's like, yes, success. Yep. That's why I was fangirling, because I love, it's like mana y mana. Like, I love it when people are passionate about what they do.
I agree.
And that
100% agree.
And that was where that was. And I wanted to share that moment with him because it is significant, because, so many others hadn't looked at the crumbs at the bottom of her purse where that piece of paper was. Ooh. And they didn't look at the tip that came in, and they didn't, there was a lot of things that weren't done. And yet he has it. He's looking at everything. He's starting at ground zero. I mean, gosh, how many times have you done that when you're like rewriting something that's like a piece of shit and you're just like, I can't do this so hard. And you're like, you know what? I'm starting at ground zero.
All the time.
I'm doing the work. I'm tearing it apart. I love that. I love
and it's important
about that.
Yeah. And it's important to let the audience see that excitement in you as well, because it shows how dedicated you are to what you do, and, it's a testament to, what it takes for Absolutely. The cops to get somebody, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And there's so, you have cases like the Golden State Killer where, Paul Holes and all the people that worked on that, they worked on that for freaking like 20 years, consumed with it. It became their life. Their children suffered as a result. I interviewed him, so I know this for a fact. He was a great father, but he said, how many nights did I have this stuck in my mind? And I've done that too, where it's like I have these cases, if it's a huge investigation and you're just like, you're thinking about it 24/7, it's hard to turn it off. And so a lot of times the people that are like, knee deep in this, they're not getting the credit of like a celebrity or whatever, but to the families, like that guy at the end of the interview, his love, or her loved one, her son was like, we're finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, that was a powerful way to end the episode, by the way. I was getting to that. That was really powerful. To hear, you have one mom. When he said that, you have one mom, one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So I got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand a word that you were saying. And I wrote it down. Is this a specific type of plea that this guy made?
Alfred plea.
Alfred.
Okay. Plea.
Alfred plea.
It's
Is that named after somebody?
ALFORD. I'm sure it's like some attorney or something.
Okay. All right. And that is where you're not saying you're guilty.
Yeah.
But there's enough evidence that you'll be convicted. Okay. That's fucking weird.
Did you ever go into the rabbit hole of that one staircase case? The guy with his wife like fell down these stairs, and are you familiar with that case?
No.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Talk about rabbit hole. Anyway, he took he wouldn't take an Alfred plea, but basically it's kind of a way where you get a lighter sentence, I think, where they don't want to prosecute you because it would cost a lot of money or it would, whatever. And so, it's like a deal where it's like, okay, I'm going to accept an Alfred plea. I'm not saying I did it, but I'm saying that you probably have enough evidence and I might get convicted.
Wow.
Yeah.
So put yourself in a position of an innocent person.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, that could happen to fucking anybody. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally innocent, complete victim of circumstance, didn't do it, but you agree to go to jail for a specific amount of time just so it's not a forever amount of time.
Well, it depends on what the deal is. Like there's been, you can take an Alfred plea on smaller cases where you go into say like it's a domestic violence situation. There's a case that I covered where this guy took an Alfred plea and he ended up getting murdered, and they believe that his wife may have had something to do with it. But so before that happened, he took an Alfred plea on these domestic violence charges. He said he never did this, what she said, but he believed that based on what she was saying, there was all this evidence against him. So he just took the Alfred plea and basically went to domestic violence classes it's not always like you're for sure going to jail, although in many cases
the state has to have something. It has to be worth it for them as well. They have to be a little unsure of the strength of their case to even offer an Alfred plea.
It is. It's like a quid pro quo in the sense of in that staircase example, that case that I was telling you about, he was in prison and then he got out and they're like, okay, we're going to make this go away. Just take the Alfred plea. He's like, no, I'm not taking the Alfred plea, because he said he didn't do it.
Okay, so that's one thing. Thank you for clearing that up for me. The other thing I want to talk about is, gosh, he got so the detective excited, almost aroused when he was talking about the candy bar stabbing, recreating the fucking murder. He was like it was happening in front of me. I'm like, dude, fucking easy.
Wait a second, because I'm sure I knew you were going to bring that up. He wanted me to see the video, and I was like,
I'm sure it was super powerful, but brother, okay, I get it.
I think that when you're in that, wait a second. I mean, can't you see how that? Why do you have to bring arousal into this? Like, he was. I mean,
listen, if you go back and listen to it, he goes to a different spot. You were on the Zoom with him. I would have loved to see the Zoom just to see how his expression changed.
And that's what I'm trying to say. He was sharing this with me, and it was really powerful for him.
I know. I could tell. I was feeling it too. But it's almost like for a moment he was like super stoked that it was the next best thing to witnessing it.
I feel like have you ever seen people change? Like they're this normal person and you've known them and you're like hanging out with them and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden something happens like that and they just become psycho.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that that's what it was. And it was so fast. It was so fluid. And he went from being this I sat there and listened to him. It was so annoying. He was just I blacked out. I was really drunk.
Blacked out. I was drinking a lot back then. I don't know. Yeah.
And just like doing that, and it was so hard to listen to because the whole thing, he was just like going into these rambling stories that don't have any purpose or, just to get off the topic. I mean, it's like psychology 101. He doesn't want to talk about the fact that he murdered her, right? So let me just talk about like,
everything
this Dairy Queen. I used to go there all the time when I was a kid.
Dairy Queen's awesome. Yeah. It really is. It's fucking great. But so then, I don't know what I would want to ask him is that something that he does a lot, right? And does he say, well, show me what happened. Show me what, like, here, use this candy bar and pretend it's the scissors. And the guy,
I think it was impromptu. I think the candy bar was just there. They got him the candy bar, like they got him like, here. It was just impromptu. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but the way that we were talking, I feel like that's what happened. And that's why it was so shocking. But what I thought was great, what I was like, yeah, this is cool, is when he was saying, okay, if you blacked out, then why didn't you ever go back there again?
That was great.
Wasn't that awesome?
That was great. How come you never went back? How come you stayed there for over a year and you didn't hear that this woman that you'd got home with was found murdered? How come you didn't? Yeah. And there's no answers for that.
Right.
No answers.
I just feel like the candy bar was just hey, just show us real quick. And they had no
idea that he was going to actually show them how he stabbed this woman through her breastplate into her heart.
Right. And I do think you're right, though, now that I'm thinking about it, when he was talking about, I'm sure that he's glad that a deal was made, but I'm sure he also would have been glad if they could have had that playing, in court, like, that whole thing. He even said it. He was like, yeah, this would have been super powerful to do that.
Just to show that, because that's what, again, not to keep harping on it, but he was super fucking excited recalling that moment, because it's it's like he had a time machine for a second and was able to go back and watch this happen, that this case that had consumed him for so long. He's like, what happened here in our interrogation room, just make it into a woman's living room, and turn the lights low and it's dark outside and Elvis is playing and, and whatever. And you like got to witness the murder almost, like the next best thing, so I can see how someone who's that dedicated to, I'm busting balls when I say it aroused him, whatever. I'm an asshole sometimes, but how excited he is about his job, how excited he was about the cigarette butt, how excited he was and how willing he was for the interagency communications, right? There was no ego. There was no hubris. There was no nothing. He was sharing and willing to share, and then to see this moment recreated with the candy bar, I get it. It must have been really exciting for him, as evidenced by how he told the story.
What was that?
I said, as evidenced by how excitedly he told the story.
Well, I think that he saw that I was interested in what he was doing. So I think that translates when you've got somebody who's like really appreciates what you've done and what the steps that it took to get there. You can't, I'm sure you can't tell that story all the time,
Right. Okay. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about here was, we touched on it early in the episode about him telling, and I've flown thousands of times, but every time we take off and you make a hard left, I think that the plane's going down, like every time. And I like get white knuckled. I'm like, fuck. So I know what this guy was feeling. And there's a detective going, no, it's how it happens when you take out of here and you got to turn, blah, blah, blah. And like I was saying earlier, he said it so almost smugly or like, haha, got him. He thinks we're friends. And that, like I said, like I always say, I'm split on this.
See, I think that he was also very honest about there is this weird relationship between the two. And I've heard it with other detectives that I've interviewed, they've said the same thing. What I find really sad is that, and not to feel bad for the killer, because I don't, but what I feel like as I was listening to the interviews was that this is probably the first time that another man of his stature is really taking the time to listen to him, because he's getting paid to do so. And it's a part of the process of building that trust. It's almost like a coach, right? Mm-hmm. Like he probably didn't have any influences in his life where somebody's taken the time to hear him, what he's thinking, what he's feeling, why he did what he did. And it's a fake, phony relationship. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's got an ulterior motive right from the rip. The cop could not give a fuck about what male influences were absent in his life, except how it informs his ability to put this guy away. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hardcore. It absolutely is. But the fact that he's opening up to him, even though he's this hardened killer, is just like, wow. I mean, it's, I don't know what it says about our society, but.
Well, yeah, no, it's got to be a really weird and delicate high wire that they walk, because they have to appear genuine or it's not going to work. Right. Yeah. They have to make the guy, but obviously the person they're talking to is vulnerable and is looking for any kind of lifeline, any sense of normalcy, any hope that maybe this guy actually does want to help me. Right. Even though he's the last person on the fucking planet who will help you. And the cops tell you that when you're under arrest, anything you say will be used against you, not for you, right. Never to help you, only against you. Right?
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. That's why
and they still talk.
I know. And that's the question mark. Why do humans do what we do? Because he has to know, and he's been in jail many times. It's the same thing with the stool pigeons. It's like, why would you tell this is currency? Why would you tell anybody your deepest, darkest secrets?
Explain to our younger audiences what a stool pigeon is.
I knew you were going to get on. Why don't you? Because you're the same age, dude. You explain it. You know what it means. I don't know where you got on this pillar of like, explain to them. Go for it. What does a stoolie mean?
A stool pigeon.
You make me want to use these terms just to like
you could say informant, right? Couldn't you?
Tell them what it means.
Are you like an old gangster from Jersey in the 40s? He turned stool pigeon.
Okay, are you going to tell them what it means or not?
No, I'm not. I'm going to force you to do it. Stool pigeon. Please.
Look it up.
Stool pigeon. A stool pigeon.
No, look it up if they're curious.
A stool pigeon is someone who rats on someone else to curry favor within the system. Okay.
Rats on someone else?
Yes. Okay. Who gives up information?
Who informs on someone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In glass houses.
Oh God, what just happened with that glass houses? My wife and I got into an argument. The phrase is people in glass houses.
Surprise.
People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's the phrase, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and just tell me what it means. To your understanding.
To my understanding, that if you're not perfect, like
okay, but what does the metaphor actually mean? Like, explain the glass house.
We live in a glass house. You shouldn't throw a stone.
Why? Because what will happen?
Because it'll crack. It'll break.
Thank you. You're hurting yourself, right? Yeah. You're doing damage to your own reputation. You're doing damage to whatever. Don't.
Well, and you don't have a right to judge other people because we all live in the same glass house.
All of that. But the metaphor, the structure of the metaphor is to say that because you will be damaging yourself. You'll be damaging your own house because it's glass and you'll break it. My wife is like, no, it means because people can see you because it's glass. People will see you throwing a rock and they'll know who threw it.
Well, were you arguing? Did you just say, no, honey, this is what it means? Or did you have to get on your high horse?
No, I stopped. I'm like, that's not at all what it means. What are you doing? I slept on the couch for 2 nights. But I'm saying that's not what it means.
Right. But why do you have this doesn't need to be right.
No, because I love her and I don't want her out in the world saying that and embarrassing herself.
Okay, just stop now. Just stop.
She does it to me. She doesn't let me walk outside wearing the same t-shirt 3 days in a row because I stink, and I trust her.
Wait a second.
Because I know she loves me.
I actually, for this interview, was going to wear a jersey sweatshirt with a cap on backwards, with my glasses, and I was gonna put I couldn't decide if I was gonna put the boss or if I was gonna put Jersey Boy. I hadn't decided.
Either one would have been great.
Anyway, leave your poor wife alone.
I do. I'm lucky to have her. So, let's just to wrap this up. For me, the theme of this show was the power of police work and the power of collaboration, interagency collaboration. Because we've had shows where that has fucked investigations for decades, right? And now we have one where that ended a cold case after decades, right? Where two cold cases. So work together out there. Okay. So looking forward to what you bring us next week. I know we have a lot to choose from, so surprise us. Okay. And make sure you tune in, even though you don't tune into podcasts, but you know what I mean. Make sure you find us next week. And thank you again for listening and for subscribing to Cavalry Plus. And thank you for all the feedback that we've been getting. Keep those emails coming. We love hearing from you. Carolyn, great job. Thank you.
And Branden, great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we will catch up with all of you next week. Bye now.
The Murder Chronicles is a Cavalry audio production recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Branden Morgan and myself. Our executive producers are Dana Brunetti and Keegan Rosenberger. Music by Soundstripe. For Cavalry Audio, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host. Thanks for listening.